Yeah, should we move it?
Let's see. Here we go. Let's see what's good. What's good?
Can they hear us?
Let's see. If you guys, if we're live, drop us in the chat. There we are. There we are. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Have More Than Money. It's been a while since our last live stream, but we've been grinding. We're back and better than ever, and we got value for you guys today.
Yep, we got lots of value, lots of updates, lots of new things. So stay tuned.
Let's jump in. I mean,
well, actually, before we start, we did make a comment. I made a comment that this live stream will not end until we give at least $10,000 worth of value. So we're going to come back to you guys at the end. We're going to make sure that everyone that stays from beginning to end got at least $10,000.
Yeah, but I'll be doing a mental tracking, so don't be too far off on that last number. But today we're talking not too general stuff, but we're talking about financial freedom as usual. But let's start off simple with wealth, right? Because at its basics, a lot of people don't seem to understand how wealth is created, right? A lot of people think that you can get there by the traditional ways. And Jared, I think you might have something to say about that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're watching this, you're probably smart enough to know at this point, like, you're not going to become wealthy from a job, right? It's the slow grind. I don't know if anyone's read, Millionaire Fastlane, but it's like taking the sidewalk as opposed to driving, right? Like, it's such a scam, and I hope anyone watching this right knows, but it's important for us to go over it here just to understand that, like, there's no reason why you should trade your time for a job you hate for 30 years to make low salaries and end up with not even a lot of money at the end of the day.
Yeah, I love that you brought up the Millionaire Fastlane because that's personally one of my favorite books. If you guys haven't read it, go and check it out. It's an awesome read. But one of the key things that he's always talking about in that book is control, right? Control of your time and control of your money. And when you have a set hours for your job and a set salary, you can't just ask for more hours, right? You can't just demand to be paid more. And that's why when you go with the traditional route, your control is so limited. But when you have an asset like an ecom store, your creativity and your control can go wherever your mind can go. So that's really just the true power of actually owning a business.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a thing that people don't think about is, when you have money and time, what the combination of money and time does is it allows you to become creative. And when you're in a creative state, that's actually living, a real life. That's a life worth living, is when you have time and money and then you're spending your time creating things. And that's the best life that you can imagine. At this point, Mike and I and, the other people that we live with, we spend our time creating new ideas. We spend our time thinking of how we can use our money to create more money so we can spend our time doing things we love.
Yep, and the key word in all of that was creation, right? It sounds very broad, but when me and Jared and like we said, everyone in our house, we actually have the other two watching right here. Shout out to our boys Pete and Dash. But when you are constantly creating and you're able to attach your name to something, right? You look at it and you said, I created that from nothing. That is such a powerful feeling, and it's not something that a lot of people get. In order to create something, you're putting yourself at risk to fail. Something new, you're putting yourself at risk. And so many people live in a shit. If they fall down once, they can't get up. And I think every single person who's watching, I know we have a whole lot of MTM members who are, starting businesses. They know themselves out there and they might fall, but they'll get up.
Yeah, I was watching actually some video and I heard this entrepreneur, he was talking about this thing called the Valley of Despair. And it was a really important concept because what he discusses is that anytime you start something new, anytime you start, let's just say, a new project or new business, there's this learning curve you have to go through, right? And that's called the Valley of Despair. That is what separates the good and the great. That is what allows people to either become successful or unsuccessful. Because think about it, if you're someone who's just getting started, right, you're getting put on with all this new information, all these things that are just so uncomfortable, so intimidating. But when you get over that hump and just keep pushing forward, and you get over the valley, right? Like, think about it. When you're in a valley, you're in between two mountains. And when you climb to the top, that's where you see the beautiful view, right? That's where you reap the fruits, the benefits. And, that's a feeling you should always be striving for, is that uncomfortable feeling and overcoming challenges and actually accomplishing things, because that is what's going to lead to your happiness. That's what's going to lead to your riches. That's what's going to lead to fulfillment in the end of the day.
Yeah, and I mean, just sum that up, it comes down to progression, right? And that's what me and Jared talk about all the time. one of our favorite gurus out there, Tony Robbins, right? The ultimate form of happiness is progression. And the only way to really progress in anything is to take the action, again, which comes back to the beginning. You know, when you have the mindset like, all right, I'm willing to fail because I have the end goal in mind, right? I think of it as like a piece of cheese making a rat run, right? Like, what is it that's making you run? What's standing in front of you that just wants you to keep going no matter what happens?
Yeah, exactly. You know, do you have whys? What is it that's driving you to become successful? Because at the end of the day, you know, you've never heard Mike and I say that to be successful, it's going to be easy. You know, with what we teach, what we do, it's not easy. And for anyone that's actually ever been successful with this business, they're going to tell you it's honestly one of the hardest things you'll ever do. I mean, think about it. You're literally taking an idea from your head, putting out a website, then putting products on the website, running ads, and eventually making sales, right? To do all of that, be successful and stay profitable is not an easy task, but with the right system and with the right mindset, it's 100% attainable.
Yeah, and I think what's also undervalued a lot is, you know, the actual process. And, you know, as you go through a process, you don't feel like you're getting the knowledge right away. Like when you're learning something, it feels really shitty in the moment because, again, it's something new. But when you are constantly doing that consistently over a long period of time, little do you know, your mind is being primed where you're starting to now see things from a producer, from like a business side of things instead of just consuming, right? A lot of people, they don't see the consuming side because they've never been producers before. So that's definitely a key takeaway.
I like that you said, Mike, that when you're first starting, it feels like you're not learning because it's so true, right? You know, one of the best things I can, you know, use as an example might be like jujitsu. I know we used this as an example in the past, but, you know, the first few months, you literally don't understand what you're doing. You feel like you're not learning. And then what happens is you start to develop muscle memory. And muscle memory, you know, it's something that's really only referred to in working out or, you know, things like martial arts. But the truth is muscle memory is real in business too. And what happens is you learn slowly over time, and that muscle memory allows you to, you know, not forget the simple things. And once you understand the fundamentals, then you can start understanding the complex concepts. And that's when you start going from, you know, 1,000 a month, 2,000 a month to 5,000, 10,000, you know, anything beyond that. So the truth is, exactly like Mike said, at first, you might not feel like you're learning anything, but I promise your subconscious is. I promise you actually are learning. And even though on the conscious level, you may not feel like you are, you're going to have these little moments where, wow, like something just comes to you at the snap of a finger. This great idea came, or out of nowhere, it just clicks like a light bulb going off. And like over time, it really will develop into something big and something special.
Yep. And that's the ultimate end goal, right? Is to be able to recognize opportunities, like Jared said, at the snap of a finger. Now, where do you start, right? Everything, all that is doing, we talk about doing $10,000, $20,000 a month. Everything we're talking about has a start, right? And what is that start? Jared touched upon it briefly, is the fundamentals, right? You need to start somewhere with a business that has the possibility, that has the ceiling to give you cash flow. So that way you can actually start investing properly. And Jeremy, if you want to talk more about that.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is, you know, when Mike and I first got started over 5 years ago in e-commerce, you know, what happened was we started these business models. We started random businesses. We started doing things that at the time we didn't realize, you know, had ceilings. You know, one example I can give you would be eBay dropshipping, right? When we started that, you know, eBay literally limits you. They limit your growth. You have to do it over time. They don't allow you to sell quickly. You know, then we started finding other ideas where, you know, we weren't seeing that, right? What you have to do is over time when you develop, you start to see what a good potential business might be. As the light goes off, I don't know what that was, but, you know, what happens is you start to develop this instinct where you can tell what makes sense and what doesn't. You know, at this point, after trying businesses and failing, which, like I said, it was over 3 years of failing, what happened was we found high ticket drop shipping. And the reason why high ticket drop shipping worked was because, you know, we failed so many times and saw what didn't work. So we kind of had to develop a checklist as to what made sense and what didn't. And this kind of, you know, checks all the boxes, right, Mike? Like
No, exactly. And, you know, just like Jared mentioned, eBay dropshipping was really the start. I mean, that was the first business we both started. Jared started it first, and, you know, after just hearing,
I did how to build chest. Don't forget how to build chest.
He dabbled in the affiliate. That was the first affiliate marketing. Then we moved on to eBay dropshipping, and like Jared said, we actually found. I mean, he found relatively good success. I found a little bit of success myself, but eventually we got shut down. Right? PayPal dropped the hammer on us, and in the moment, it felt like the end of the world. Right? We were like, we were just starting to catch fire, and like this happened to us, like, oh my God, like why us? The basic things that, you know, people who fail for the first time say to themselves. Like, this is all natural. And, you know, it's something that a lot of people may feel eventually. So just know you're not alone. But we learn from that, right? The next business we started, we were in mind, we're like, all right, well, last time PayPal had the ability to screw us completely. So now we can't just rely on PayPal because that would just be foolish. And this is exactly what I mean as the more action you take and the more times you fall, how you're just leveling up from those pitfalls.
Yeah, and before we get into, you know, the check boxes that high ticket, you know, checks off, and I want to share with you guys a funny story. So as Mike mentioned, I had, you know, quote, relative success with eBay dropshipping. So, you know, exactly what happened was, you know, we were sophomores in college at the time, and I was making roughly around $1,000 to $2,000 per month profit, which obviously is not a lot, but when you're a sophomore in college and dead broke, it actually is pretty good money. And what happened was all of our friends, our social circle, started to think of me as the rich man, right? And what stops a lot of people is that fear of failure, right? A lot of people are afraid of what their friends might say, what their family might say. So, you know, what happened was they were all considering me the rich man, but then the eBay business failed, right? And again, a lot of people let that social aspect stop them. So I didn't even tell anyone that it failed, right? When it failed, I just let them continue to think I was rich, whatever, and just kept building new businesses because I had that level of belief in myself. And what happened was I started something new that ended up making, you know, 10, 20, 30 times what I was making on eBay. And everyone already knew me as the rich man, and it was great. So what's the moral of the story is, you know, do not let social aspects, do not let your friends, your family, do not let the fear of disappointing others stop you, right? Work on your business. If anything goes wrong, you know, you have, if you have a community, if you work with us, if you're in our program, then, you know, you can tell us what goes wrong. We're happy to help you fix it. But again, don't let that fear of disappointing others or your friends or family stop you, because that is something that I think stops more people than anything else.
No, that was so perfectly said. I actually made an Instagram post the other day. It said, it was something along the lines of, right, I still sometimes have a little bit of fear of failure, right? But when you combine the massive action and just the utmost belief, right? The belief, and Jared just said belief in himself is what pushed him through that. That is at the core of everything, right? I was just taking a shower, right? And I was just thinking to myself, confidence comes from the inside, not from the outside, right? Like you can try to base your confidence on other people's beliefs or opinions, but that's dangerous, right? It needs to come from within, and acting as if you have the confidence, right? It's a little bit of fake it till you make it. Acting as if you have the confidence will actually make you feel that confidence.
Yeah, exactly. And that was, like I said, that was exactly what happened. You know, everyone was considering me this rich man, but I wasn't actually making that much money at the time. But then when I actually started making serious money, you know, well over 5 figures per month, you know, nobody was surprised, right? Everyone was just used to it. They kind of just assumed I was already making it. So, you know, what you want to do is you want to create this context of being a rich person even before you have the money. And the best way you can do that is by start saying rich things, just start thinking rich things, just start acting like you're rich. Now, obviously acting like you're rich, that doesn't mean going ahead and blowing your entire bank account at the store, but just start thinking how the rich people think. And, you know, the way they do is just they think about how they can make money without trading their time for money. And then once they start making money, how they can make more money.
Yeah, no. You know, what do we say? And we made a presentation recently, and we said that being rich is not a financial status, it's a mental state, right? You need to know what it is exactly that you want to be, right? You need to know what it's like to be successful in order to get there. And a lot of people, they kind of put success on a pedestal, right? Every successful person they see, they can't compare themselves with them. They're like, oh, this person was so much more motivated, so much more smarter. He was so much better off than I was. I could never do that. That is just the wrong mentality to take. And that obviously comes from a competitive state, which, as we all know, when you come from a competitive state, it's very, very dangerous. And that's what you want to stay away from, right? You need to choose inspiration over competition every single time.
Yeah, no, honestly, you know, the competitive state, what it does is it makes you become jealous. And what you want to do is if you see someone doing better than you, then you want to seek them out. You want to ask them questions and you want to learn from them. You know, till this day, guys like Mike and I, even though we're selling our own course, are buying courses. We're reaching out to people that we think are doing better than us in, you know, certain areas of life that we want to excel. Like, you know, all the stuff that we preach, we truly do practice. And till this day, we still do. That's why our program is developing and getting bigger and better. And that's why, you know, we're obviously expanding, adding more videos, adding everything we can to make sure that our program stays updated. Because the truth is, like, a funny story, I actually read my own book recently and I hated it, right? And I'm sure anyone that's read it probably liked it, probably got a lot out of it. But the reason why I didn't like it is because I wrote that book 7-8 months ago. And within the last 7 to 8 months, I've learned so much that I'm just reading it and saying, damn, like, I thought I knew things back then, but I did, but obviously compared to now, you know.
No, exactly. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add on that topic before we move.
No, so, you know, guys, obviously what we're getting at is the first thing you want to do is you want to create income that allows you to make money while you're not working. And obviously, as we mentioned, we tried so many businesses and failed so many times, but we found something that worked, and that was high ticket drop shipping. And, you know, exactly the check boxes that fit, you know, I'll cover some, Mike, and you can, is, you know, it had big margins, the advertising aspect made sense, the supplier relationship was not gray hat or black hat. I don't know if anyone's familiar with those terms, but you don't want to start any business that has any sort of legitimacy issues, you know?
Yeah.
Any other,
Exactly. I mean, listen, I guess the most important things are always, can you sell to a lot of people, right? Because a lot of times people will approach me and they'll be like, hey, like, I have this small brick and mortar store, right? And the first thing I think of is, all right, well, if you have a brick and mortar store, you can only sell to the surrounding community. So any business needs to have the ability to scale to millions of people, right? And that's what's so beautiful about the internet, right? Is you have a storefront online where you can reach people all across the world. Now, obviously, our business is just the United States primarily, Canada a little bit as well. But the point is, we could still reach millions of people. And you either want to be able to reach a lot of people in small ways, a small amount of people in big ways, ideally both. So not only are we selling to a lot of people, but we're selling expensive items, so you know we're getting paid for it.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I remember one time, you know, one of my niches, like, I was worried that there wouldn't be enough people to, you know, buy that type of product, but it was just such a stupid worry, right? Like, you should not be in any terms thinking limitation or lack. Like, if people are selling the product, you could too. If there's manufacturers making the product, they're doing it because people are buying it, right? So, you know, you can't sell anything on your own website, right? And the reason being is that there's limited space when it comes to marketing, right? You can't, if someone is already dominating, let's just say a specific supplier, you're not going to just come in there and start making serious money. And that's why Mike and I always preach, you know, low competition and good price points, because there's always new products being made. There's new inventions every single day, right? The same way there's new people starting to drop ship every day or start anything, right? The world is just always expanding and growing. There's people inventing things, and they need people to help them sell and market. And that's where guys like us and guys like you watching this come in.
Yeah, no, exactly. And that's why a lot of people, me and Jared always preach, you know, is ecom too saturated? Is ecom going to die, right? And I dropped a video on Instagram last week, and I did one bit of research and found out the World Wide Web was created 30 years ago. Like, that just blew my mind, that the internet has really been around 30, 40 years. And I mean, I think as we're all seeing the progression of it, like Jared said, every single day, it's just exploding more and more every time. But again, a big box that e-commerce does check that we said was the time. Right now, time is beautiful for two things. One, enjoying life, but here's why it's a wealth hack, right? When your time is freed up, yeah, you can go and lay by the pool now because you have money coming in. But what can you do with that time now to make you more money? That is the $1 million question.
Yeah, honestly. And, you know, the thing is that when it comes to, you know, having time and money, there's really endless opportunity, right? You can really do anything you want. You can build your own personal brand. You can build your own physical product brand. I mean, we're in the process of doing both, right? We've drop shipped for so long. And obviously, we're not saying this to intimidate anybody, but, you know, when you do over $10 million just drop shipping, what happens, not that you can start developing brands, because you can start developing brands whenever you want, but what you realize is, you know, there's so much potential. There's always more steps, right? What were we talking about in the beginning of this video was the valley of despair, right? And when it comes to drop shipping, not to say that we've lost that valley of despair or we've learned everything we need to learn, because that's not true. But we also realized that there's always ways to level up. There's always ways to take it a step further. And that's why the two things we started doing were building personal brands, which obviously is leading to this live stream here. And we love everyone watching this. And second is we're building physical brands, so we can go from drop shipper to drop shipped.
Exactly. And like Jared said, there's levels to this shit, right? Like you got to start somewhere. So let me break down like a level. Let's say some people watching this don't have a business, right? They're going to probably look up to guys like me and Jared who are teaching this business. So that's one level. Like Jared said before, we to this day are seeking out people above us. Just a couple of days ago, we were able to go to this fundraiser at a $15 million penthouse. It was absolutely beautiful. It was an amazing experience. And we were able to meet people higher than us, right? So now we're seeking out people who are doing bigger things than us. I can guarantee you the people that we were seeking out have people higher than them to seek out. It's really just a food chain, right? And when you're able to see that, it can be intimidating. But when you have the perspective to realize, all right, someday I want to be at the top of that food chain, but for right now, I need to start here. I need to start here. Wherever it is, just keep that perspective in mind.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad that you brought that up because it's like, a lot of people think that successful people go from, 0 to $1 million overnight or 0 to $1 billion overnight. It doesn't work like that, right? You start your first business and you start with something lean. You start with something that isn't going to make you go broke, something that is going to, make you money quickly. Maybe not a get rich quick scheme, but something that, is not going to make you blow $10,000 or more. We've never had a client lose more than probably $1,000 in ads before making sales. It doesn't happen. So, you want to start with something lean. And then what happens is as you start to generate cash flow and profit, that's when you can start taking chances, start taking risks. One thing that I recommend is, never put all your eggs in one basket, because that's like the cliche saying, but like if you have $20,000 saved up, right, don't think that you can invest $20,000. In my opinion, that means you can invest maybe $2,000 to $5,000 into one project, right? Like don't start investing all your money into one thing. Keep yourself lean, stay on that course, because what's going to happen is, let's just say you do save up $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 from drop shipping, and then you invest $2K here, $10K here, etc. What will happen is you'll start to really become wealthy. You'll start to see all those investments hopefully pay off. I mean, obviously it'll be up to you not to make bad investments, but hopefully if they do well, then what will happen is you'll see your wealth accelerate at levels that you never thought possible.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you can't teach that kind of game in school. Or you can teach it in school, but they don't teach it in school, which is obviously just a fundamental issue. But that's the hack, right? Is, in my opinion, getting from the ground floor to that first step of a business that profits you $10,000 is probably the hardest one. And that's my opinion. I think now that you have the money and you have you have the system already on autopilot, or mostly on autopilot, when you have the money and the time now, it's a lot easier to go from 10 to 30 than it was from 0 to 10.
Yeah, no, honestly, that is the hardest part. The hardest part, I would say the hardest part is believing for most people, right? Like most people don't live in a mental state where they even believe they can become wealthy. That's the first thing. I would say that is what separates majority of people. Once you overcome that belief, right, then you need to show us, right? Or better yet, show yourself, right? Like if you're not doing it, right? Let's just say that you have a business idea, or let's just say you're in the MTM community, right? And you're not doing everything you need to do every day. It's for two reasons, right? One, either you don't believe in yourself enough to actually make it work, or two, you're just lazy. Which one is it? I don't know. But the point is that if you truly do believe in yourself to make it work, then all you need to do is just work on it. And honestly, at this point, we know that the hardest part is building that first successful business. And that's what we've designed. We've designed a program that will help you build that first successful business. And after that, we promise you, once you've built your first successful business, you'll start to really figure it out.
I couldn't agree more that limited beliefs are 99% of people's problems, right? And again, I don't want to come back to the school system, but in my opinion, that's the reason why, right? In school, they teach you that the ceiling is getting that job, getting that stability. So now kids are literally growing up when their minds are sponges, that their ceiling is that dream job. And in my opinion, it suppresses the creativity and just creativity in kids, right? When that's the ceiling. Then you open up one book like The Millionaire Fastlane and you realize, wait a second, a random guy can actually do this. And, that's how you start putting belief in yourself, is, getting inspiration from others.
Well, it's funny, Mike, because it's like, that's a debate, right? Like, should they change the school system or not, right? Like, I think we both can agree, and probably everyone here watching this can agree, like, the school system is obviously not optimal for becoming successful, right? And I used to think they should change it so it's meant for the entrepreneurs. But then what I started to realize is that majority of people are just not meant to be entrepreneurs. And I think that entrepreneurship is an outside the box way of thinking. And the truth is that the school system is almost meant to be like, just hooks for the fish to bite on, right? And for the people that are smart enough, or the people that think outside the box enough, those are the people that will really find the paths to riches. Because the truth is, there's a million ways to get rich. If you go on YouTube, Google, whatever it is, you will find courses, you will find successful people, Instagram, you will find people that are doing it that you can learn from, and you'll make it happen if you believe in yourself and you take action enough. But the truth is, why should the school system be like that? Because there's all these free places to do it. And if you're not doing it, then unfortunately that's on you, right? So again, this comes back to the debate. Should they change the school system or not? I think it seems like Mike, he probably would, right? Where I probably wouldn't, because at this point, I think the school system should let all the other people, fall for that, while the people who, are smart enough aren't. Because think about it. If school system did teach entrepreneurship, then it'd be a lot harder to find employees.
Okay, yeah, that's a great point. And I guess here's my take. I'm going to change it a little bit. And that's that they need to give the option, right? The ceiling, the end all be all can't be that job. And like Jared pointed out, it is not everyone's destiny to be an entrepreneur. Now, we can tell you that firsthand, that a lot of people can't handle the pressure, the stress, and that's fine. Owning a business isn't for everyone, but being poor also isn't for everyone. All right. You can still get rich while not owning a business, right? You can still invest in assets that'll put money in your pocket while you're not working. And listen, a business is the quickest way to get you financially free, right? If you're working a job and you're investing in assets, you can still get there. And that's, I guess, put that in the school system. Show ways that you can, the smart ways to invest in real estate, smart ways to trade stocks, whatever it is, like
save taxes.
Save taxes. Exactly. There are credit hacks. There's a million things that we know just from following people on social media, reading a lot of books. But, I guess put that all in one place. And
yeah, no, it's great. Honestly, like I've always thought about that. And, another thing about the school system I've realized is just like, even if you did teach this, I mean, think about it. At least I can say when I went to school, it was very rare that I paid attention to the classes, right? And I feel like most students just didn't pay attention. And I almost wonder, if we taught this in schools, would people actually pay attention? I honestly wonder, you guys can say what you think in the chat box. Would people pay attention if they actually taught how to become rich in schools? Because that's a question I don't know the answer
I would love to hear people's answers to that in the chat. But I think it would. I mean, listen, think about it. I was talking about the piece of cheese hanging in front of your face before, right? If the piece of cheese is a 9-to-5 stable job, how fast are you running? Now, if you put the chance, the ceiling to become wealthy in front of me, I'm gonna run a little faster. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree. So, let's get back on topic, right? So, what you want to do is you want, obviously, as we mentioned, you want to create a way where you can have income, coming in while you can live your dream life, your passionate life. And at this point, obviously, anyone watching this probably knows what it was for us, what it was for Mike and I was high ticket drop shipping. And again, what comes after that, there's a million different things. Whether you're making $1,000 and you want to take your dropshipping business to 10, you can do that. Whether you're making $3,000 and now you're happy and you want to spend your time, doing something you're passionate about, like painting or singing, you can do that. That's the point, right? The point is that having money and having time allows you to live your dream life. A lot of people that are born into poverty, they spend their entire life thinking of money as the end all be all, but that is not the point. The point is not to spend your entire life trying to get rich. This point is to spend a small point of your life trying to get rich, and then live a beautiful life after that.
Yeah, I read something on Instagram the other day, and the guy said the reason that the rich get poor, the rich get richer and the poor get poor is because the poor think that everything that the rich do is a scam, right? Like they don't believe in it. It's you get those haters all the time on social media saying, that life isn't possible. Like stop telling people that they can live that kind of life. And I'm just sitting there so confused every time I read that comment, because you're telling me it's not possible to have an ecom store that profits money. That's all you're saying, because any ecom store has the potential to do exactly that, right? Bring you money while you're not working. And it's really not that far off of a concept. And, really quick, I do want to tell a great story, because obviously, in our opinion, high ticket dropshipping is the best way to build an ecom store. Why? Reason that we've covered time and time again, the stability, the sustainability, you know, building real contracts. Yeah, go through it.
I'll give you the, I was going to just.
Yeah, no, okay.
But again, it's, you know, when it comes to selling online, right? I'll make this real simple for you guys. When it comes to selling online, the person who can spend more to acquire a customer will always win. So why is high ticket the answer? Because it allows you to spend more money and make one sale and win. Mike and I, it's not that we didn't make sales when we did low ticket. We did tens of thousands of dollars in sales with low ticket, but we lost money because we only had $15, $20 to spend to make one sale and be profitable. And, you know, like I said, we did tens of thousands of dollars in sales. And then when we did the profit and loss, we realized we lost. The more sales we made, the more money we lost. So that is why high ticket is the best, is because it allows you to spend more. Like, let's just say the product is $300 profit, right? You can spend $200, make one sale and still profit, right? That's why high ticket's the best. Then the next thing is Google Ads. Why is Google Ads the best? It's because think about it, comparing it to Facebook, right? Let's just say you're selling, I'm looking around the room for a product. Let's just say you're selling, you know, this desk, right? Okay. Who is more likely to make a sale for this desk? Is it the person that runs a random Facebook ad video to someone that's just scrolling to read about their cousins? Or is it the person that puts the ad for the desk on Google, where people are going to literally type in desks for sale?
I think we all know the answer to that, right? And I didn't get to get to my punchline of the funny story, but I mentioned that we were at this penthouse a couple of days ago, and you know, we met a couple of guys who were killing it in ecom, right? One of them had his own jewelry brand, and it was awesome. I got a lot of value from him. You know, he has a warehouse and everything. He was a great guy. His friend, also a really nice guy, was doing the classic low ticket drop shipping, right? And I asked him, we were talking numbers, and he said that he tests 200 products a month, and usually 1 out of 200 will pop off. Naturally, my next question is, all right, well, how long do they pop off for? He said they usually pop off for 2 months. So he goes 1 for 200 products.
Loses $20,000.
Loses, I'm sure,
no, he told me $20,000. That's what he told me.
That's what he said.
He said he tests 200 products and will spend $20,000 just testing.
Yep, for one winner that's going to last 2 months. Now, we're talking about an e-commerce business that's going to be sustainable over a long period of time that you won't have to worry about. Does that sound sustainable? I think we all know the answer to that, right? So the only other option, if you're going to be drop shipping, is high ticket.
Yeah, no, again, when I heard him say that he actually loses $20,000 to find one winner, you know, I was like, dude, like, I wasn't telling him to join our program, and obviously, you know, he's good where he is, but I was like, dude, our clients will literally lose no more than $2,000 to $3,000 maximum. Like, that is literally the worst possible case. I don't think we've ever even seen that happen, to be honest. But like, I was like, $20,000 to find one winner, like. And then what? You scale it for 1 to 2 months, and I think you make like, you know, 50 to 100K, and then you have to find a new winner. I was like, that's best case scenario. That does not sound fun. That does not sound appealing. That does not sound sustainable. And that doesn't sound like something that's worth putting your time into.
And it definitely puts into perspective for us, because, you know, we thought losing $10,000 or $11,000 on when we did low ticket was bad, but I mean, you know, if we lost 20, I think I would have a personal vendetta. But I know a lot of the members in our community have done the low ticket thing. And that's why, you know, they're all so excited and their eyes are so open to, you know, the other side of doing drop shipping.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, that's the thing is, once you're successful, once you have money and time, again, it allows you to just be so free. You know, as Mike mentioned earlier, poor people think every opportunity is a scam. Well, honestly, rich people get scammed. Like, that's the thing is, like, when you're rich, the reason why you get scammed is because you end up just buying everything, right? You don't even care. Like, guys like Mike and I, we have bought so many programs at this point. Majority of them were scams. Like, we're not lying when we say that. But the thing is, that doesn't change our mentality. You know, we buy everything, we consume everything, we learn everything. And that's why we're successful. It's because not all of them are scams. Some of them are real. Some of them actually make impact. Sometimes just one thing you hear in a course, you know, if you spend $1,000 on a course and just one quote changes the way you think for the rest of your life, it's worth it. You know, so when we see programs and we're interested in the person that's selling them, we don't even think twice, whether it's $3,000, $4,000, or even as much as $7,500. We don't even think twice. We pull the trigger, we buy it. If it's good, it's great. And, you know, obviously we make our money back very quickly. And if it isn't, so what? You know,
there really is always a silver lining, right? No matter what you do, you can always find the silver lining in something. But I think the fundamental issue with the industry is, like Jared said, is there are scammers out there, right? And it really gives the good guys a horrible rep. But sometimes you gotta, and that's why I think a lot of our benefit comes to, we're able to steer people away from the most common traps, right? Like Jared said, I mean, the total investments that we've made into other courses is probably close to like 30, 40 grand, right? So we've seen it all. We've seen a lot. Maybe we haven't seen it all, but we've seen a lot. And those experiences have not only helped us and, you know, ironed our sword, as they say, right? Like made us stronger, but now we're able to go out and help others and steer them away from the nonsense.
Yeah. And honestly, that's what led us to starting, you know, the Have More Than Money brand was, you know, honestly, it came with us being scammed. I'm not going to even say for the last time, but it was us being scammed for the last time without us becoming, you know, instructors ourselves. That's what it was, right? Like we realized, you know, there's always going to be people selling nonsense out there, but we have something real. Like I said, we were successful with this business for over 3 years before we even started teaching it to a single person. So it was like, we knew we had something real. We knew we had something that can actually help people. And that's when we decided, you know what? You know, yeah, there's other people that are scamming, but we know what we're going to teach is real and it's going to be much better than whatever the hell most of the crap people are buying.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, you know, again, it comes down to always investing in yourself. That's the best investment you can make is always in yourself. And, you know, a lot of times that just starts with education, right? So a lot of people who are in our DMs, they're like, where do I start? I don't have any money yet, right? Well, the first thing to do is to get a job. You need to get money. You need to have money coming in. And, you know, once you have that, you have the education, then you're ready to jump in and, you know, really take the massive action that we're talking about.
Actually, you know, I actually saw a great YouTube video by this guy named, I don't know why our light keeps shutting up, but this guy named Bia Heza, I'm sure some of you heard of him. He dropped a video about, you know, it was about if he started from scratch with absolutely nothing, you know, literally with nothing. Even though he's technically a millionaire, the point of the video was to pretend he started from nothing, right, with $0. And, you know, one thing he did that I honestly never even thought of was, you know, flipping on Craigslist. And what you can do is literally go into the free section, find things that people are literally giving out for free, grab them, and then literally put them on Craigslist for money. And that's what this guy did to go from absolutely nothing to making his first 50 bucks. Then when he made his first 50 bucks, he went back on Craigslist to the paid section, bought a dusty Game Boy for 20 bucks, and then reflipped that for 70. And it started this chain reaction. Then he went from literally $0 to 100 bucks. And, you know, I don't even remember what happened after that, but it just opened my eyes to, you know, if you were to start from zero, like there's so much opportunity. Despite getting a job, you can literally just freaking flip things on Craigslist or eBay. I know, you know, Gary Vee talks about it. I always, you know, Mike can tell you, I always shit on that. I hate when Gary Vee talks about garage selling because obviously he's worth, you know, 200 million. But the truth is he has a good point in the sense where if you have nothing, you know, garage selling is not a bad idea to get, you know, a few hundred, even a few $1,000s so you can start an online business.
No, it was spot on. Clearly, Jared didn't see that I put the same thing on my Instagram story, but you know, he seems to scroll through my story. The point is that there's always somewhere that you can start when you have zero, right? When I put that same exact story on my story, my point was even if you have zero, there are ways to get from 0 to 200, right? And that's what a lot of people need to understand. And I guess it's easy to play the victim, right? It's easy to say, you know, this is my excuse, but I actually said it earlier today. Everyone's got that story. Everyone's got the sob story, the reason that, you know, they're unfortunate compared to everyone else. And I can tell you firsthand, I did it when I was first failing. I was like, oh, this is all, why me? Like, this sucks. Like, I'm so unlucky. And you get to a point where you realize, all right, yes, it's easier to blame other people and other things, but how beneficial is it, right? Because if you don't take any responsibility, you know, let me say, if you do take all the responsibility, you're acknowledging you have control, right? When you're attaching happiness or success to something else, you're leaving it up to chance. So you might as well just take responsibility for it and say, all right, I could have done something to avert this situation, right? And apply that moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah, first of all, Mike, I definitely see your content, but I'm sorry if I didn't. Definitely follow Mike on Instagram, the Michael Lopez. If you haven't, he posts great content all the time. But, you know, one thing that I'd like to discuss that, you know, stops a lot of people, right? This is a horrible thought process. You know, as Mike mentioned, you know, the hardest thing to do is to go from zero to whatever the case is, right? Just to start from zero. That's the hardest part. So one thing that I hate that people always say is, they'll say, oh, will this business be around 20 years from now? Will this business be around 30 years from now? First of all, one, I do truly believe that what we're doing and teaching will, because the way we do business is, in my opinion, the most legitimate way to sell things online. And I think legitimacy will never go out of style. Other things, they're a little sketchy. Those will go out of style. So one, I don't think this business will ever go away. But two, the reason why you shouldn't be even asking that question is because it doesn't matter, right? Again, the hardest thing to do is to go from 0 to 1,000, 0 to 10,000. So all you need to worry about is making that first 10,000, 20,000, 100,000. Because I promise you, once you have $50,000 in the bank, once you have $100,000 in the bank, once you have $300,000 in the bank, it won't matter if your dropshipping business crashes and burns. Like, honestly, obviously, we love our dropshipping businesses, and we want them to still make money for the rest of our lives, or until we sell them, if we sell them. But again, the point is that we've saved so much from our dropshipping businesses at this point that it wouldn't even matter if they crash and burn, because again, we were able to do all this from zero. So God forbid all of this went away, we would have that money, and it would be a lot easier to do it from what we have now to what we started with. So again, the hardest thing to do is to go from zero to anything, but remove that thought of worry of if it's going to be around 30, 40 years from now. Because like I said, one, I do truly believe it will be, but two, even if it wasn't, it's irrelevant. All that's relevant is getting that first $100,000 in the bank. I think it was this guy, I forgot his name. It might be Charlie Munger. He's a very successful guy. And he said, like, all you need to do is save that first 100,000. That's the hardest part. But once you do that, then you'll start to see your money you'll just start to see it flow from places that you wouldn't expect.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people get it mixed up, right? Because as we were saying earlier in the video, you want to have the end goal in mind, right? But a lot of people, when they first start out, for some reason, they're thinking about how to get from $30,000 to $50,000 or $50,000 to $100,000. All right, like, slow it down. You want to have the end goal in mind, right? The why, where you want to be. But in terms of taking action, you got to figure out whatever it is I need to do to get from $0 to $10,000. And if it is high ticket drop shipping, you need to be calling suppliers, finding suppliers every damn day. All right. I'm sorry, I've been cursing a lot. When I just start flowing, my mouth just says whatever it is. But that's my point exactly, right? So this is for the MTM members, right? If you want to get from $0 to $10,000, dig deep. All right. If the first supplier you find on a Google search isn't going to be, most likely won't be a supplier worth testing. But if you keep on digging and you keep on adding those suppliers, our system is in place. It's worked for us over 5 times. It's worked for dozens of our students. If you follow that system to a T, you'll succeed eventually. And that's why if the MTM members are going to take anything out of this video, there's a lot of, I think we're up to like $8,000 in value right now. I'm keeping it.
I think we're at like $8 million.
But don't stop finding suppliers. All right, keep on searching.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's really it, right? Like, at this point, what we've developed is something that does work. And any secret that we have, we either give it in the course or these videos or in our group chat. And, that's why we're even making the course better and bigger and longer, is because, we want to really cover everything at this point. Anything we left out, we want to make sure it's covered. Because the truth is, like, as much as everyone likes to believe there's this big secret, the secret really is just doing, a good foundational business and understanding, again, the foundations of marketing online. And they're not that hard to grasp once you actually, simplify it. A great quote I've heard is, anyone can make something complex, but it takes someone really, brilliant to take something complex and make it simple. And the way you make something simple is by breaking it down, right? When you see a website with expensive products and ads being run, it looks like a lot, right? It's complex. But again, as Mike said, you need to slow it down, take it one step at a time. Yeah, you want to keep the end goal in mind, but guess what? Your end goal is going to change. Whatever your end goal is when you have zero, like, honestly, my end goal was to make $10,000 a month. That was literally all I wanted to do. And honestly, within the first month of doing it, I was like, all right, I need to know what it's like to make 20. That's exactly what happens, right? So, whatever your end goal is right now, it's going to change. Think about your goals like when you're driving somewhere, right? When you get out of the car, when you pull out of the driveway, you can't see your destination, but you keep your foot on the gas and you keep driving, and then you make a few turns, and then, whatever the case is, and next thing you know, you're pulling up on wherever it was that you wanted to go. It's the same thing with your dreams. Right now, you can't see where you want to end up. But, what we provided is, kind of like that first step. We provided that way so you can get out of the the theoretical driveway and start moving towards your goals. Well, we don't expect anyone watching this to be passionate about drop shipping. That's not what it's about. What it's about is creating passive income so you can live a passionate life.
Exactly, right? And that's the biggest misconception probably in drop shipping, is that you need to love the products that you sell. Like, we have no physical attachment to any of the products that we sell. Trust us, that would just be flat out weird, right? Like the really what drove us, like Jared said, was the ability to live our passions. And we got jujitsu mats in our backyard about a month ago, and it's all we've been doing now because we love doing that. We can wake up in the morning. If we want to do it in the morning, we can. If we want to wait until the middle of the day, we can. And that's really the principle behind it.
Yeah, no, I mean, one thing I like to tell people is, they say you should, work your passion, right? Get a job that you're passionate about. But what I say is, like, no one's passionate about waking up and going to work on Monday morning. Even if you have a job where it's in a field you're passionate about, your best bet is still starting a business in that field, in that niche, right? Like, I have a good friend who wants to be a journalist, right? And he's considering drop shipping because what he wants to do is start his own media type company. It's the exact same concept. Right now, he works for a journalism company and he's grinding his ass off. But the better solution would be to start a drop shipping store, start making, 5, 10K a month, and then start building, let's just say, a social media following around him and his journalism. Because again, that's what happens. That the money is what will allow you to build your personal brand, or better yet, build a business you're passionate about. And that's what me and Mike do at this point. We're not the type of guys that are passionate about things that don't make us money. That's the thing. So now we're starting businesses in fields we're passionate about. People always like to say, oh, why do you start businesses? Why do you, help people, etc.? Well, one, it's something we're passionate about. And two, it makes us more money.
It fills both the boxes, right?
Exactly.
And it's so at this point, it's kind of scary that we're starting a new brand, right? Of one of the products that we've been drop shipping for over a year now. And again, we're not particularly passionate about the product that we're selling, but we're super passionate about the ceiling where we could take this business and what we can learn throughout the process. And it's so funny that I was just thinking this the other day, every time you level up, you have to almost be humbled in a way, right? Like, I'm working on, like I said, we're getting this brand off the ground. This past week, a couple of days of the week, I was working on building the website, right? Like, I'm literally starting at the bottom yet again. In the mornings, I'm giving people tips, right, on how to build their Shopify site. And then right after, I'm building my own site for the new brand. And it's like, it's a humbling experience, right? It's, again, comes back to making yourself valuable and having the skills. And obviously that comes with action.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, that's like what we said in the beginning of this video, that's what it's about. It's about, to continuously learn, continuously put yourself in positions you're uncomfortable, because that's where you find maximum growth. So, if you're finding that uncomfortability, is that the word, with drop shipping, then the good news is that what will happen, as long as you stick with it and stick with us, is you'll eventually become comfortable with it. And with the comfortability comes the sales, comes the money, comes the success. And with the success comes you figuring out what it is that fulfills you in life. That's what it's about, right? You do not need to be passionate, again, about drop shipping or the products you're selling. What you need to become passionate about is the hustle, because the hustle will let you find your fulfillment, right? That's what it is. That's the secret. That's what they're not teaching in schools.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up, uncomfortability. That's definitely the word. Yeah, uncomfortability, right? Is because if you guys want to know an insane feeling, it's something that I felt about a month or two ago for like the first time, and it was facing like something happening where it was just a problem for me, but I actually had the perspective like, all right, like this really sucks. But I knew that I was going to learn from whatever the outcome was, right? It was like, I didn't mind the challenge because I had the perspective. And at this point, I know any bad thing that happens in my business, whatever comes up, it's an obstacle, but you come out stronger on the other side. And that's such a powerful, powerful perspective to have, because, at that point, no challenge is too big enough. It's too big to overcome. Yeah.
And honestly, like any time in my life where I felt like I was in that position where, it felt like a challenge that was too big to overcome, that was just never the case, right? At every time it felt, like we talked about when we started our eBay business, when the eBay business first failed, I got into a very depressive mind state. It was, at that point, we had more debt than we had money, and it felt as if it was going to be impossible to overcome. For a period of time, I didn't know how I was going to get out of it. I didn't know how we were going to pay off credit card bills and the fees we owed eBay when we owed them $3,000 and only had $800 in the bank. I had no idea, right? It felt like it was going to be impossible, but that impossible feeling that was what fueled us to continue, is what fueled us to say, you know what? At this point, it can't get worse, right? Like it can only go up from here. So let's just keep grinding. Let's just keep figuring it out. And that's exactly what we did. And now I'm in a position where I actually have stuff to lose, and I'm not going to feel worried. I'm not going to feel as if, what if something bad, right? Because we know exactly what it felt like and we got out of it. So we have no reason to worry, because at this point we know that if, let's just say, something happened and we somehow had to start from zero, it wouldn't take us too long to get rich again.
Yeah, and as I guess you guys can get the moral of the story is, as you go through a process, you actually become a different person. We talked about perspective and all that stuff, but it's really just the truth. And when you're a stronger person, we talked about recognizing opportunity, not folding to challenges. Like, these are all things that sound so cliche, but if there's one thing that I've learned in 4 years of reading self-help and reading motivation and books by millionaires, it's that usually the most cliche things hold the most water. And, that's why, like I said, that's my point in validating everything that we're talking about on perspective and, recognizing opportunity.
Yeah. And that's exactly what we talked about in the beginning of this video is, how Mikey mentioned the cliche things hold the most water. Well, if you're someone in the beginning stages of your business, then you might not understand that now, right? But when you're actually successful, what will happen is those little cliche quotes will literally impact you on levels that you'll actually be able to see, because, one little quote will literally make you make maybe one little change in your business. And that one little change can be a difference of making an extra $10,000 a month, $20,000 a month, and there's a lot of things in our business that's happened with that. Like Mike can tell you, let's just say one time he had a conversation with his aunt at a Christmas party or whatever the case was, and it led to us finding one of our best suppliers.
The product that we're starting the brand with.
Exactly. And now we're starting a brand in that same niche.
She gave me the idea at Christmas.
He got the idea at Christmas from his aunt, right? Again, that's not a cliche quote, but when you're successful, when you're actually in motion, when you're actually thinking in the certain way that we're always talking about, that's when opportunities come and you actually realize the opportunity's full potential. How many of you have had a conversation with someone about selling something or doing something and never actually took a chance on it? Probably everyone watching this, because I know I've done that many times in my life. But it's amazing that when you actually progress and when you actually, go through, hurdles and become successful, how when opportunities come, you don't just let them pass by anymore.
Yeah, and just I guess another example to get through this point of, how you have to do it yourself. There's no shortcut. Just going through the process is the only way. Me and Jared, we're always spitting game, right? Everything we know about business, about prosperity, success, whatever it is you want to put it, however you want to put it, that's what we portray on our Instagram. And, we're 23 years old at this time. We're both 23. So everything we preach has only come from the things that we've experienced. We're not guessing on things. These are things that we experience and then we give out to other people. Now, can you imagine, right now we're 23. Can you imagine by the time we're 43, how much we will have gone through, how much more knowledge we'd have, how many times we failed, how much stronger people we will be? I can promise you I'll be spitting different game when I'm 43 than when I'm 23.
Yeah, and it's funny that you say that. Everything we talk about, we learn from experience, because it's so true, right? Not only is it stuff that we've either tried ourselves, but as Mike mentioned, we went to this penthouse and we've gone there a few times, networked with other people, e-commerce entrepreneurs. And almost every time we hear about a business they're doing, it's very, very rare that we're like, wow, that business sounds much better than the business we're doing. Matter of fact, I would say probably 99% of the time, it's the exact opposite, right? Again, we talked about that low ticket person that we met. This guy, he's the 1 out of 100 that happens to be successful in the business. And he has to spend $20,000 just to find one product to make him $80,000, whatever it is. And then have to do that again and again and again. Again, we tried something like low ticket, failed, but not only that, we actually know people that are successful with it, and we can tell you that even that is just not as great as what we're doing, as what we're teaching. We truly do stand by the fact that we believe that what we're teaching is the best business model, the best way to make money online. And when you think about it from a logical perspective, when you actually do a checklist of pros and cons, there's no way you can really outweigh what we're doing.
Yeah. And all right. And so let's take a little bit of a pivot, right? So let's say you get to the point where you're making 10 grand profit a month, Jared. What are you doing next?
Yeah, exactly. So as we mentioned, there's a lot of things you can do, right? There's endless things you can do. Some of the things we like to do is one, we like to invest in stocks. We like to invest in real estate. We do own some units, some rental properties. One thing we just started doing recently was crypto. And, I'll give you guys a story. I don't know, for all of you that follow me on Instagram, I posted a little story yesterday. So, as I mentioned, we're still learning. We're still buying courses. I watched this video of some guy who was talking a lot about Bitcoin, and it really interested me. So I was thinking about, using my own money, but I didn't want to take money out of my stock account. And it turned out that, one of the stock apps that I invest in was offering me $50K in loans. So what did I do was I looked at the interest rate, and I saw the interest rate was only 2 to 3%, and my stock market account was giving me a return of 10%. So instead of, taking it out of the account that was getting 10% returns, I took out the loan, which, like I said, was 3%, bought a bunch of Bitcoins, and obviously it did really well. So what's the moral of the story is, one, don't take out loans for money that you can't pay back. People did respond to my Instagram story, and they asked me that. I never said you should take out loans if you don't have money, right? But two, what you want to do is you want to start making money quickly. You want to start getting your credit up quickly, because then what that will allow you to do is it will allow you to use other people's money or your own money, whatever the case is, to really start building things you're passionate about. I know the question was, Mike, I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent.
You're nailing it.
I know the question was, what do you do when you're making $10,000 a month? And a lot of people like to overthink this, but the answer is whatever you want. Like, that's the point, right? That's the whole point of this.
Wow,
the concept is to make money so you can do whatever you want. And that's what we want to do. What did we want to do? We wanted to move somewhere where it stayed warm. We wanted to have property. We wanted to have a basketball court, a pool, a jacuzzi. And that's what we did.
Yeah. I mean, again, right? He said everything there was to say, but it kind of comes back to the haters, right? The people who say it's not possible. Well, look, like Jared said, we're living proof of it. Like, I don't mean that to brag, but, again, it comes back to, we hope that people can garner inspiration, because as a lot of you guys could probably tell, we're not like clever, like book smart guys. We were the most average students, probably below average students there were out there, right? And again, I'm saying this because I want you guys to get inspiration that, when you put your focus into things that really matter, right? Like building businesses and building wealth for yourself, that knowledge can be acquired, and all the other book stuff, it really doesn't matter.
I promise you guys, like, I had a high school teacher who literally told me to come back in 5 years, because I was that type of student that he truly believed was just ruining their life, because I was a class clown. I'm sure you were too. We were class clown type of people. We were the type of people that people from our high school were like, that's who actually made it. That's who became successful. Like, it's hard to believe, again, because we're not book smart people. We never honestly stood out in really any ways. We were above average. I would honestly say that. My whole life, I was definitely, above the average in most things. And I know Mike was too, but we were never exceptional, right? We weren't those people that people looked at and were like, that guy's going to be rich. Like, we weren't voted, most likely to be successful in high school. We weren't those types of people. We're just regular guys. And what happened was we just realized that, the school system was nonsense. So we put our focus into something that mattered. Honestly, Mike mentioned, cliche quotes can go a long way. A cliche, I wouldn't say this is a cliche quote, but a quote I heard was, being good at things that don't matter doesn't make them matter. And that one little quote I heard long before I became successful. But what do you think that one quote did for me? It changed my entire mindset, because I was always focused on being good at things that didn't matter, like FIFA or ping pong or whatever the case was, right? Like stupid things. But I heard that quote and I was like, you know what? I can be great at all these little things that don't matter, or I can be great at one thing that will get me paid, and that matters, right? Money matters, and exactly what led to us being here.
No, exactly, and that's also a big problem for a lot of people, is that they let being good at things that don't matter fulfill them, right? Like for some people, being the best FIFA player out of their friend group is enough. That makes them happy. It gives them a good feeling, but power to them, right? But my point is, like, imagine all that energy and time you spent playing FIFA if you put that and applied it to something that actually mattered, like building a business.
Exactly. before we get into questions, I want to ask you guys, do you feel as if you've gotten $10,000 worth of value? Right in the chat box, because I know for a fact the stuff we've given is probably worth.
Please say yes. My mouth is getting dry over here. I'm gonna have to get some water.
Yeah, my cup is running low. But again, and while you guys writing that in, before we get into the questions, for our members, I do want to say that we are having a few updates coming in. So look out for that. We will be writing it in the chat, but most likely what we're going to be doing is changing the website. So again, don't be alarmed. Look out for that. We will tell you guys everything as soon as it changes.
Yep. Honestly, I don't see a whole lot of questions. So if you guys do have questions also, feel free to drop them in the chat. MTM guys, if it's high ticket related, let's hear it.
Yep.
It's good just to go through. I know I got Maddie K. What's good, MTM fam? Colin, excited for this to drop. Of course, we got sports back in the building. Always. Good seeing you, Jared and Mike. That's one of my questions. If you have a variety of books and podcasts to indulge in.
Yeah. Honestly, Colin. Wait, who wrote that? Oh, Craig. Sorry. Craig. I actually, at the end of my book, I actually put a list of some of the best books that we've read that helped us. There's a lot more, but that's the only place that we have a list. Maybe we'll add that when we update the course. Maybe just like a little list at the end of the course, some books and podcasts. Yeah. It's a great idea. But as of right now, if you do want a list of some of our best books, or Mike, if you want to say some too on the live stream, we can. But if you do want to find a list, check out my book. It's at the very end. I put a list of some of the best books we've read. Yeah,
I mean, off the top of my head, obviously, if you haven't already, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I would say Millionaire Fastlane is a huge one. Science of Getting Rich. Please do yourself a favor and listen to that or read it.
Power of Positive Thinking.
Another one.
Compound Effect.
Oh God. Okay. We could really go all day.
We can go on all day.
If you want to be better at building relationships with people, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Right. Yeah. It's a great book on, how to just become a personable person.
Power of Your Subconscious Mind. I listen to that. That's on Spotify. I listen to that almost every single day, honestly.
Yeah. So that's a short list. Like Jared said, he outlines a lot of those in his book. So havemorethanmoney.com, sign up for the email list, get that free ebook.
Yeah. And we'll definitely put a list of some books and podcasts at the end of our course. I think that's a good idea.
All right. So Colin said, do you know what a resale certificate would be in Canada? Colin, I do not know.
You'd have to talk to a professional, honestly. Unfortunately, we just don't live in Canada,
I feel like if you called whoever you bought the LLC through, if you ask them, they should 100% know.
Yeah, I mean, we know people that do this in Canada, so we know that whatever it is you need to find, you'll find. Colin, be that type of guy. Be a resourceful guy, be a guy who makes it happen. But again, unfortunately, we just don't live in Canada.
And that's a great point too, which we didn't really touch a whole lot upon. But the best business people are problem solvers, right? Like if there's one thing I pride myself on, it's that I love finding solutions to problems because they're always out there. Right. A lot of people don't think that solutions are out there. They're there. You just got to be resourcefulness. And, the best entrepreneurs, their resourcefulness is their greatest asset.
I think it's a Tony Robbins quote. It's a human being's greatest resource is resourcefulness.
Beautiful. Alan said, what's the most expensive product you sell? Price? I think our biggest sale is $33K.
Yeah. Our biggest sale is $33K. But we've listed a product for $389K once.
No bites yet.
We have not sold it. We don't even run ads to it anymore, but we go as hard as we can. And actually, I've gotten an inquiry on one of my stores for a $400,000. It wasn't a $400,000 item, but someone wanted to buy a bunch of units, and it was a $400,000 inquiry. So don't be afraid to think big.
Yep. Fashion products, high ticket, good niche.
I wouldn't say so.
Yeah, I don't. We've never really done anything in fashion.
We're not fashion fans. Not that we don't like fashion. We don't like selling fashion.
You guys can probably tell we're not the most fashionable people in the world.
That's not what we sell. We stay away from it. If you want to do fashion, go somewhere else.
Kristen said, so as I'm creating my website, what do I do with social medias? Do I actually create socials for my website? I'd say not necessary.
No, definitely. If you got the theme, we recommend. I know it comes with the icons. Remove the icons. Just take them off. We made a Facebook page for retargeting, so that's the only social media we've done. We don't see any benefits in trying to build an Instagram or TikTok or Pinterest, maybe Pinterest, but I personally do not see not that I don't see the benefits, but I don't think it would be worth your time to focus on that. The foundation of this business is Google Ads. So put your time into being successful with Google Ads. And then if you want to, create social medias after you found winners, after you have a business that's actually making money, you could, but again, we don't really see the point.
Yep. Colin, again, he said, have been doing some research and found that it might be a number, not a form. Honestly, Colin, write in the group me. I feel like we said, we have Canadian students, so write in the group and that someone should have an answer.
Hopefully. I know they don't always answer, but it honestly probably is just a number. My resale certificate is literally just an orange piece of paper with a number. So
yeah,
it's not, there's nothing,
It could be the EIN. Yeah. Kristen, is it more preferred to hire a professional agent to form my LLC in Canada? Kristen, I would ask that you please talk to my friend Colin.
No, I think they both have the same questions. Honestly, Colin, Christian, I probably talk to a professional. Yeah. We don't want to be held liable. If the Canadian police come knocking on your door, don't send them out to us.
Guys, I love it. Yes, great value. Absolutely. Thanks for the advice. You guys got it. I see a lot of people.
Colin heard the ka-ching.
Colin heard the ka-ching. Wow. I hope everyone else heard it.
That's great.
That was low key. Mafia, $1 million worth of value, 100%. Appreciate you guys. Isaac, when choosing carriers, which one would you suggest? A supplier gave me their preferred small parcel, UPS or FedEx. Majority of the times we're shipping LTL freight, we're high ticket products. If it's shipping parcel and it's still high ticket, I feel like any of the big ones, you probably couldn't go wrong. Obviously, ideally, the supplier handled the shipping, but if not, you can use companies like Freight Club and they'll get you the quotes.
Yep.
Which carrier would you suggest when choosing your own for suppliers? What is the cheapest?
Again, I know Mike just answered this, but again, I really do recommend trying to work with suppliers that handle their own shipping. Listen, if you find one that doesn't and you can make good money with it, then yeah. But, Mike and I, we found pretty much all of our success on working with suppliers that handle their own shipping. It's so much easier, so much less of a headache. You don't want to be responsible for the shipping. So ideally, try to stay away from suppliers that are going to force you to handle the shipping. But again, if you want to try it, you want to run the ad, see if you can make money.
It's something that could be automated. If you have an employee, it could be simplified, but it's really just a headache, right?
When you're getting started.
Yeah, especially when you're just getting started. But if your question, what is the cheapest freight carrier? It's probably YRC.
But cheapest, you got to remember,
you get what you pay for.
Cheapest, you get what you pay for. It's high ticket products. So there's a good chance that they can get damaged when you're shipping. So if you go cheap, don't be surprised.
Yep. Alan said, do you have to register your business in the city you live in or not because it's e-commerce?
Just the state.
Yep. You do have to do it in the state that you're living in. Obviously, different states have different tax laws. One of the reasons we moved out to Vegas was the zero state income tax.
Yep. Open your LLC in your state.
Yep. Israel, what do you think about margin percentage versus dollar amount margin? I've got a price list where the margins after all costs look thin, 8 to 10%. But dollar amount profits are like 300 to 600.
That's a great question. And I've definitely had this question asked. I've definitely had this discussion. I say that, in the end of the day, the amount you're making is most important, right? The percentage is not as important as the amount you're making. So $300 to $600 per sale is not bad. Now, yeah, your sales screenshots may look inflated, but again, if you're making $300 to $600 per sale, then that does give you some wiggle room in the ads. So that's what matters.
Yeah, and also, if you're making $300 at 8%, I really suck at math, but I don't know. I would make the product pretty expensive is my point. So obviously, it's a little bit more difficult to make sales for $15,000 items, right, or $10,000 items. So, you need to keep in mind, like, listen, $300 is good, but can you get that sale with just $300 in ad spend? That's
only one way to find out.
There is only one way to find out.
Yeah, and obviously, $300 to $600, 10%. So you're looking at $3,000 to $6,000 items. I've seen it happen. I've seen people be profitable selling $3,000 to $6,000 items at 10%. Is it ideal? No. 20% is much more ideal. But again, I think dollar margin profit is more important than percentage. I wouldn't get obsessed with percentage. Just look at the fact that you have $300 to $600 to spend in ads. Can you do it and be profitable?
Yep. Isaac just woke up feeling Which
skipped a few.
Oh shit, did I?
Right here.
Okay, Claudio, how guys do you suggest looking for U.S. suppliers for Europeans too? If so, how would you get in contact with them from Europe?
Yeah, so I mean, I know a lot of people in Europe. I know the UK market is where a lot of people go. But yeah, I mean, other than that, it would really be the same thing to contact them from Europe as you would in the US. You know, obviously you have to account for the time difference, but you know, at the end of the day, it's calling and emailing.
Yep.
You know, location.
And there are, you know, I have actually 2 suppliers myself that ship from Europe. So, you know, don't sleep on suppliers in your area.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. How does the no sales tax work? Do I have to pay for the taxes? So you only pay for the taxes that your LLC is registered in. So whatever your state is, any sales in that state,
I believe he's in Canada. But yeah, if you're in the United States, you will only pay tax and you will only charge tax for the state you're in. Christian, I know you're in Canada. I actually don't know how that works, honestly. So I'm not gonna lie, but you know, I would have to assume you would not pay sales tax because if you're gonna make sales in the United States and you're in Canada, it wouldn't make sense for you to have to charge sales tax unless you were to sell in Canada. But that's something you'd really want to ask an accountant.
Yeah. Do you use a prepaid credit card? Jared?
I don't know what you mean by prepaid exactly. I mean, we use a credit card, of course, you know, run up the bill, pay it off. But yeah, that's how we do it. That's obviously the best way to scale your business is with credit, not your own money. Because obviously if you're trying to use a debit card, you know, Shopify can take 2-3 days to get you the money. It can cause delays, it can cause problems. So, you know, we use regular credit cards. You know, one of our limits is 30,000. Another one of our limits is like 100,000. And yeah, that's how we run the business.
Build assets online. How do I get more than money? Build assets. Restart the video after we're done and watch it through.
It starts with the more than mindset.
More than mindset. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Mikhail, starting drop shipping in Canada, I should only focus on Canadian and US suppliers, right? Yep. If you're in Canada, just go straight for the USA and Canadian suppliers.
Exactly. But, you know, don't rule out, you know, it comes down to where they can ship. As Mike mentioned,
as long as they can ship.
Yeah, exactly. We have suppliers in Europe that make us some crazy money. So, you know, if they can ship to the States and they can do it for a reasonable cost and get it in a reasonable time, don't rule them out.
Yeah, there's no reason not to. But that looks like the end of the chat. So, I mean, Jared, I don't know if there's anything else you want to add.
I'm good.
Yeah, no,
Other than the updates and
it
stuff.
felt great to be back with you guys on a live. We're going to try to not make the next one as big as this last gap, but we can't make any promises. We are making this program as great as it possibly can. Everyone who's in MTM already, you guys are going to be ecstatic when you see what we're doing. But yeah.
Actually, yep. Before, you know, we end it, you know, again, the great updates that Mike mentioned, we're going to be updating the course. We're going to be starting a whole new website for everything. And as for our YouTube live streams, what we're going to be doing is we're going to do a successful student series. So the next few episodes that we do, I mean, we have a lot of students that we could interview. We'll see how many, you know, agree to do an episode with us. But the next bunch of episodes we do are going to be with successful students. I really hope, you know, it motivates you guys and sees that it's possible, not just for us to, but for really anyone that's willing to listen to the system and put the work in. So,
yep. So, I mean, that being said, thank you guys for joining us. I have to come out here to end the live, but let's go get more than money.